So say after me. Bismillah. الدرس التاسع. دخل المدرس. دخل المدرس الفصل. So when you say it together, we'll join it from the sin tadi the lam ini alif lam. Okay, so we say دخل المدرس الفصل. ووجد فيه 15 طالبا فقط. فقال لهم أين طلاب الجدد؟ أين طلاب الجدد؟ 5 الذي جاءوا أمس. قال عبد الله خرجوا. Continue next line. خرجوا اليوم. حضروا اليوم وخرجوا قبل قليل. أظن أنهم ذهبوا إلى المدير. أظن أنهم ذهبوا إلى المدير. رجع الطلاب 5 بعد قليل. فقال لهم المدرس أإلى المدير ذهبتم؟ يا أبنائي. قالوا نعم. ذهبنا إليه لأننا ما وجدنا أسماءنا في القائمة. جلس المدرس وقال أقرأتم درس الأمس يا أبنائي؟ قال الطلاب نعم قرأناه وكتبناه وحفظناه. قال المدرس أفهمتموه؟ قالوا نعم فهمناه جيدا. فهمناه جيدا. ما أسهل هذا الدرس. قال عبد الرحمن أنا ما فهمت فيه 3 كلمات. قال المدرس ما هي؟ قال عبد الرحمن قرأنا في الدرس هذه الجملة. قرأنا في الدرس هذه الجملة. عاد جدي من الخرطوم. فما معنى هذه الكلمات؟ فما معنى هذه الكلمات 3؟ قال المدرس عاد معناها رجع. والجد معناها أبو الأب أو أبو الأم والخرطوم عاصمة السودان. أفهمت؟ قال عبد الرحمن: الآن فهمت. الآن فهمت. ثم فتح المدرس كتابه وقرأ درسا جديدا. خلق الله الشمس والقمر والنجوم والأرض والبحار وخلق كل شيء وخلق الإنسان من طين ثم قام وكتب هذا الدرس على السبورة. رفع محمد يده وقال: رفع محمد يده وقال: ما معنى الطين يا أستاذ؟ قال المدرس: الطين معناه التراب المختلط بالماء. ورفع فيصل يده فقال له المدرس: أعندك سؤال يا فيصل؟ قال فيصل: نعم، عندي سؤال. البحار جمع البحر؟ البحار جمع البحر؟ قال المدرس: نعم، هو كذلك. قام الحسن وقال: ما جمع السماء يا أستاذ؟ قال المدرس: جمعها سماوات. ثم سأل المدرس الطلاب عدة أسئلة. Again. ثم سأل المدرس الطلاب عدة أسئلة. المدرس: من خلقك يا إبراهيم؟ إبراهيم: خلقني الله. المدرس: من خلقكم يا أبنائي؟ الجميع: خلقنا الله. خلقنا الله. المدرس: من خلقني يا عباس؟ عباس خلقك الله. المدرس من خلق الشمس يا عبد الله. عبد الله خلقها الله. Right, so we join that, you get خلقها الله. Alright, note here carefully. Before, when we were speaking about the moon, you will say خلقه الله. Right, so you say when you join it, you will say خلقه الله. Dhamma over the ha. Right, خلقه الله. You see that there? Let's see. We didn't see that one yet. Right. So this one is referring to the shams, which is feminine. So we will have خلقها. خلقها. So we have خلقها الله. Notice when you join the ha to the lam in Allah, this alif on this pronoun here for the ha, it is now silent. Okay? It's silent because you join it straight from the ha, fatha, to the Allah. So you say خلقها hal. خلقها الله. Right? Go down now when you see here المدرس ومن خلق القمر يا عبد الرحمن. من خلق القمر يا عبد الرحمن. عبد الرحمن says خلقه الله. Right? So here, this ha at the end here is the masculine attached pronoun. So it refers to the moon. All right? So you say خلقه Allah. So in this case, you say خلقه الله. And in the other case above, you say خلقها. Join to the lamb. خلقها الله. So just that one vowel, when you read in or when you're speaking, just that one vowel and dhamma instead of the fatha would indicate whether it is a masculine or feminine pronoun. All right? So it's important. Vowel matters, right? In the meaning. Let's continue in here now. المدرس ومن خلق النجوم يا أحمد. أحمد خلقها الله. يعقوب يا أستاذ عندي سؤال ليست له علاقة بالدرس. المدرس ما هو؟ يعقوب قرأت في كتاب أن النجوم أبعد من الشمس. أصحيح هذا؟ المدرس نعم هذا صحيح. مما خلق الله الإنسان يا عثمان. Again. مما خلق الله الإنسان يا عثمان. عثمان خلق الله الإنسان من طين. المدرس أحسنت يا عثمان. ومما خلق الله الجنة يا أبا بكر. أبو بكر خلق الله الجان من نار. المدرس: كيف عرفت ذلك يا أبا بكر؟ How do you know that, O Abu Bakr? أبو بكر: عرفت ذلك من القرآن الكريم. فجاء في سورة الأعراف أن إبليس قال لله: أنا خير منه خلقتني من نار وخلقته من طين. المدرس: أحسنت يا أبا بكر. كم سماء خلق الله يا عبد الله؟ عبد الله sorry. يا عبد الله. عبد الله: خلق الله 7 سماوات. المدرس: وفي كم يوم خلق الله السماوات والأرض يا عبد الرحمن؟ Again, let's read that again. وفي كم يوم خلق الله السماوات والأرض يا عبد الرحمن؟ عبد الرحمن: خلق الله السماوات والأرض في 6 أيام. المدرس: هذا صحيح. قال الله تعالى في كثير من الآيات: إنه خلق 7 سماوات. فقال في سورة الطلاق: الله الذي خلق 7 سماوات وكذلك قال في كثير من الآيات: إنه خلق السماوات والأرض في 6 أيام. فقال في سورة الحديد: هو الذي خلق السماوات والأرض في 6 أيام. هو الذي خلق السماوات والأرض في 6 أيام. في هذه اللحظة في هذه اللحظة رن الجرس وخرج المدرس من الفصل. All right. So we would have gone through this passage a few times before we had stopped the class to do the revision of book 1. All right, and we would have gone through the meaning of the words. All right. Now I know we have a couple new members here in the class today who will have gone through the revision of book 1. All right. So inshallah, I wouldn't go through the translation of it here again now, right? But inshallah, if two brothers want to, check me privately, anytime we can arrange and we can go through the meaning of it, right? Also keep in mind that we have to go through, as a recap, inshallah, as I said, I'll speak with the Imam and we will try and set a particular time to revise chapters 1 to 9 in this book 2, all right? Again, is a revision for everyone, and for for the two individuals or anybody else who might wish to join. It will be an introduction to those chapters, all right? But any quick words here that anybody needs clarification on?
Assalamu alaikum, Brother Asim.
Wa alaikum assalam wa rahmatullah.
Your lectures are recorded and put on the Masjid YouTube channel. So
Okay.
we have all the recordings from chapter 1 to 9. And all
Okay, right.
classes.
Yeah.
So if you
Right.
want,
Okay. Good.
for the new people,
Yes.
Imam or Adil can just put back the link. Well, first we have to have the new people join the WhatsApp group.
Yes.
Then we could put back up the link to access those videos, and they can watch them at their convenience to get the explanation from chapter 1 to 9.
Yes, that's a good reminder. Jazakallah khair, Brother Nishon. I had forgotten that. So as Brother Nishon said, we will have recordings of all the lessons from chapter 1 to 9, right, on the YouTube channel, the Masjid YouTube channel. So we would just remind the Imam to post back the link. I think the two brothers, Sajjad and Intikab, would be on the WhatsApp chat already. So inshallah, once the Imam posts that link, them as well as anyone else who wishes to access those lessons, can do so. Inshallah. Jazakallah khair. All right, so we move on now with the explaining some of the grammatical constructs in this particular chapter. All right. Now the first one that we want to highlight is that of the all right, before we go through that, let's look at the exercises here. We would have done, as is common, the first one or two exercises would be comprehension questions on the passage. All right. So we would have done that last time before we had gone on the break. All right. So as you see here, those are also comprehension questions. All right. So number 4, رقم 4, ما معنى الكلمات الآتية? What is the meaning of the following words? So from the passage, you actually define these words in the passage. All right. So atin, which is clay, it is at-turabu, which is dirt. Turab is dirt, right? Mukhtalitu bil-ma'i. So atin, which is clay, is turab or dirt mixed with water. All right. So that's the tin. Then ada is a verb. Ada means raja'a. Raja'a, which means to return. So ada, return. Raja'a, return. Okay. And of course, al-jaddu means Abul Abi or Abul Ummi, which is the father's father or mother's father. Okay, which is what we say in English is the grandfather, right? All right, so the next one, see in here, so we just have to fill in the blanks with suitable words, right? So like, let's look at the example here. Asimatu Sudani al-Khurtum. So the capital of Sudan is Khurtum. So what is the capital of Iraq? Asimatul Iraqi al-Baghdad, right? Asimatu al-Mamlakati al-Arabiyyati as-Saudiyyati. The capital of the Kingdom of Saudi Arabia is Riyadh, right? And so on. Asimatul Yamani, Sana'a, and Asimatul Misra, Al-Qahira. Okay, so they just learn some geography here. Going on again. Egypt. Misr is Egypt, right? And Al-Qahira is Cairo, right? Then we saw a couple of places in the passage the expression of amazement, right? Expression of amazement. And what exact construct does that take, right? It takes the construct of ma first, right? And then you use the format of the superlative. Remember we did comparative and superlative adjectives, all right? And we said, like, for example, a word tawilun, we change it to the format atwalu. And we did that in the first two or three chapters in this book, right? When you look at the comparative and the superlative. So we're using that same format to in the expression of amazement. So let's see here. We have here هذا الرجل طويل. هذا الرجل طويل. This man is tall. Please recall, and I keep emphasizing this because it's very easy. It's very easy when you're writing or reading to make this mistake, right? So we have هذا رجل. This is a man, all right? And if you say we add the alif lam onto rajul, you get hadar rajulu, right? So in this case, the ra, it is a sun letter, so therefore the lam is silent, okay? But we have to read it by joining the hada to the ra, so that we know that there is a alif lam there. And that makes a difference because hadar rajulu means this man, right? But if you say hada rajulun without the alif lam and with the tanween at the end, it means this is a man, okay? Which is a complete sentence by itself. Hada rajulun, this is a man, full stop, okay? But then if you say hada rajulu, we're saying this man. It's not a complete sentence. We need to get something to complete the expression, okay? This is a side point here. So هذا الرجل, this man, طويل, is tall. This man is tall. So it's a statement, and it can be expressed as a, using the expression of amazement by saying ما أطول هذا الرجل. How tall is this man? How tall is this man? All right. So it's an expression of wonder or amazement. So in the passage, we had one of the students saying, "Ma ashala hada darsa." Ma ashala. So you have the word sahlun. Sahlun. It means easy, right? So then you use this format of the superlative or comparative. We say ashala. Ashala. Okay. Ma ashala hada dars. How easy is this lesson? Okay, let's look at number 2 here. هذا البيت كبير. This house is big. Expression of amazement, we say ما أكبر هذا البيت. هذا البيت. How big is this? How big is this house? Next one. هذه السيارة جميلة. This car is beautiful. ما أجمل هذه السيارة. How beautiful is this car? All right. So this is the expression of amazement. So we would have gone through this, either last class, last regular class, or the time before that, right? So we have quite a few examples here that we can attempt, inshallah, for practice. Right, so then next exercise we are seeing how, and this is each one of these exercises now, as you notice, as you go down, we are being introduced, or rather we are being exposed to a new concept in the grammar, right? So we just saw the expression of amazement. Now we're looking at the harfu nida, or the particle of addressing someone or calling someone, right? So in English we say, oh, so and so, oh king, or oh leader, or oh whoever it is, right? In Arabic we say yeah, right? There are other particles we can use too in Arabic, but the most common is yeah, as you would know from the Quran. Ya ayyuhalladhina amanu, right? Ya ayyuhal kafirun, and so on, right? Ya ahlal kitab. So we see here what effect now. We're looking at the grammatical part of it. What effect does it have in terms of the grammar? All right. So we need to look at the word that comes after it and what effect it has on it. So let's see here. We have the word Muhammadun. Muhammadun. Notice I said Muhammadun. All right, we got tanween, dhamma, the end. When we add the ya in front of it, the harfun nida. Harf means particle, and nida means to call or addressing, right? So the particle of addressing someone or calling someone, right? So you would say ya Muhammadu, ya Muhammadu. Notice the tanween dhamma has changed to a single dhamma. Okay, why? Because of the harfun nida before it. Let's look at the second example. Hamidun, again tanween dhamma, ya Hamidu, ya Hamidu. Ustadhun, tanween dhamma, ya Ustadhu, single dhamma. All right. Now look at what happens here. In the case of a word that is mudaf, mudaf ilay, right? Then that word, the dhamma now changes to a fatha. Now I wanted to recall, whenever we have a construction of mudaf, mudaf ilay, remember we said something way back, and we also repeated that in the crash course that we did last month. And I'm going to say it again here, right? There are three things that you never find two or more of that thing in a single word at the same time. At the same time, you don't find more than one of that particular thing, or more than one of those three things in a word at the same time. These three things are tanween, alif lam, and that the word is mudaf, right? So it can only be one of the three at a particular point in time. It can be two, it can have two of these characteristics, or it can even have all three, right? So if a word has alif lam, it cannot be mudaf, okay? And it cannot have tanween, once it has alif lam. All right. Remember, mudaf ilayhi is the possessive clause, right? One is possessed and one is the possessor. All right. So right. So these three things. So if it is mudaf, it cannot have alif lam, it cannot have tanween. Right? If it has tanween, cannot have alif lam, and it cannot be mudaf. All right. So why am I saying this? In the case of here now, the harfun nida, what if it is coming before such a clause? Right? Remember, the mudaf already doesn't have any tanween. So what happens now? The dhamma changes to a fatha. Dhamma changes to a fatha. So let's look at it here. Ukhtu Hamidin. Ukhtu Hamidin. What is Ukhtu Hamidin? The sister of Hamid. Right? Sister of Hamid. So when we use the harfun nida, ya ukhta Hamidin. Ya ukhta Hamidin. See the ukhtu changed to ukhta. Right? So say that after me, please. Ukhtu Hamidin. Ukhtu Hamidin. Ya ukhta Hamidin. Ya ukhta Hamidin. Next example, Abdullahi. Abdullahi. Ya Abdullahi. Ya Abdullahi.
Sorry. You're saying the mudaf, the last letter changes from dhamma to fatha.
Yeah.
That means the case also changes. The mansub.
Right. Good question. I will have to confirm it here. I don't believe in the case of I don't believe it's in the case of nasf. This is the fatha is because of the ya. Well, I'll confirm that with you. It's a good question, right? If the case changes as well, right? Well, of course, the mudaf ilayhi will still be genitive because it's still mudaf ilayhi. Mudaf ilayhi doesn't change, but the mudaf, seen as you have the ya in front of it, it takes the fatha once it's mudaf ilayhi. I'll confirm that and I'll let you know if that is now mansub. It's a good question. All right. So let's look at a few of these things here in which they are giving us the practice. So the first one is Ya Ali. Is it Ya Aliyun or Ya Aliyu? Buddy?
Ya Aliyu.
Ya Aliyu. No. Ya Abbasu. So the next one will be Ya Abbasu. Right. Next one, is it Ya Rajulun or Ya Rajulu? Ya Rajulu. Now, next one, we have bint. What would we say here? Yeah, bintu. So let's go through these quickly. I think we would have done some of these, before, before we had pause. So we're going to go through a couple more. Ya Shaykhu, Ya Maryamu, Ya Abdallahi, Ya Binta, Ya Binta Khalidin, Ya Binta Khalidin. You see Khalidin next line. So it's Binta Khalidin. All right. Now I just want to highlight one more example here before we go on to the next part. This is, look at this here. What word is that? What name is that? Abu Bakrin. Abu Bakrin. It is, like how you have Abdullah, is one name Abdullah, but is composed of two words, Abd and Allah. All right, one name, but two words, Mudaf, Mudaf ilayh. All right. Similarly here, Abu Bakrin is one name, but is two words, Mudaf, Mudaf ilayh. All right. Mudaf, Mudaf ilayh. Therefore, the word Bakrin would be in the genitive case. Why? Because mudaf ilayh, right? That's why there's a kasra there, right? However, look at the word Abu. right? Now the word Abu is of course from the word Ab. Abun, Aleph, Fatha, Aleph, Hamza, Fatha, with the Ba, right? Tanwin Dhamma. Abun means a father, right? Now once you put that word as mudaf, this is one of the 5 special nouns. There are 5 special nouns that operate a little bit different to all the other nouns, right? This is one of them, the word ab, all right? As well as the word akh. So abun means a father, akhun means a brother, okay? So these are 2 of the 5 special nouns. Why are they special? Because of the way they behave, all right? For example, here it is mudaf in a mudaf ilay construction, right? So therefore, it takes a wow in a genitive. Once it is genitive case, it will take a wow, right? It will take a wow. Also, if it is joined, onto a pronoun, it also takes a wow. So you say Abu hu, his father, all right? Abu hu, all right? Similarly with the word akhun, a brother, you will say akhu hu, join a wow to it, all right? Once you join it onto a pronoun, so you have that additional wow added on there, all right? Now, once we put the harfu nida in front of it, all right, then look what happens to the wow. The wow changes to a aleph. The wow changes to an aleph. So you say, Ya Aba Bakrin. Ya Aba Bakrin. And if there is a pronoun in front of it, you would say, Min Abi Bakrin. Abi Bakrin. So if you all notice, sometimes you read in a hadith or you hear a hadith, you know, or being narrated by Abu Bakr, or you hear some narration about Abu Bakr. Depending on the context, you might hear Abu Bakr, you might hear Abi Bakr, or you might hear Abu Bakr. All right? So that is because of the strange nature or the unique nature of the word Ab. All right? Similarly, the word Akh, and so on. Right? So again, the ya here changes from the waw to aleph. So instead of Abu Bakrin, you have ya Aba Bakrin. Right? And this is only for those 5 special nouns, which we would touch on, inshallah, in a separate session. All right?
Can you just repeat what you said about Abi Bakrin?
Right. So just as the waw changes to aleph here, it also can change to ya. So instead of Abu Bakr or Aba Bakr, you can get Abi Bakr. Right? Not because of the ya here, but because of some like a preposition coming before it, or some other reason. All right. So you have 3 cases. You have the genitive case, the nominative case, nominative case, which is the waw, the genitive case, which is the ya, and then the accusative case, which is the aleph. The aleph. All right. Now I want you all to recall, we said that there are 3 cases for nouns. There are 3 cases for nouns, right? Which I just mentioned, right? The nominative, accusative, and genitive case. We said, I said earlier on that these 3 cases, they have signs, right? And the common or the default, if you want to call it that sign, for these 3 cases is the vowel on the last letter of the word, all right? The vowel on the last letter of the word. In case of nominative, is the Dhamma on the last letter in the word. In the case of accusative, is the Fatha on the last letter of the word. And in the case of the genitive, it is the Kasra below the last letter in the word. All right? This is what we say is the default signs of the words being in these cases, right? However, there are exceptions. There are a few exceptions, as we mentioned before, like for example, the dual or the sound masculine plural. You know, in the different cases we would not look at the vowel on the last letter, but rather we would look at the second to last letter. So instead of Muslimun, we will say Muslimin. Mu'minun, we say Mu'minin, right? In those cases, the word changes from nominative to accusative or nominative to genitive, and the vowel on the last letter has not changed. What has changed is the actual letter, actual second to last letter, right? Second to last letter. Right? In this case, these 5 special nouns, when they are attached to something, either mudaf, or when they are attached to a pronoun, what changes in the different cases is not the vowel on the last letter, but rather that whole letter, whether it's the waw, the aleph, or the ya. All right. So abu, abi, and aba. Right. And these 3, they change from one to the other depending on the case. All right. Any other comments or questions? Right. So as I had suggested, you know, in the crash course, if we have a notebook, we could take the last 2 pages in the back of the notebook and do up a table, right? So reasons for words to be in the accusative case, and have a whole column for that, and then you have a next column, reasons for words to be in the genitive case, and so as you go through the chapters, we can you know, you could add, you keep adding to that list, and you could always refer back to the list. Look, this is why your word can be genitive. There's another reason why it can be genitive, and there's a third reason why it can be genitive, and you can add to that list as you go along. Right? So that's just a suggestion there, which, you know, when I was studying Arabic for the first time, it was helpful for me. So if you find that might be helpful for you, you can look at that, right? Right. So the next exercise. Right. So we have to read the following examples, and we have to identify the sound feminine plurals, right? Jam al-mu'annath as-salim. So you have to identify the sound feminine plurals. Remember we said you can take a word, a feminine word, that ends with tarmabuta. For example, sayyaratun. Sayyaratan in this case is feminine. It ends with tarmabuta. In this case, it's easy to convert it to a plural word, right? By taking off the tarmabuta, adding an aleph and a ta maftuha, as we see here in the plural, right? Ta maftuha. All right. So what is the sentence? Ra'aytu sayyaratan. I saw a car. I saw a car. The plural, you can make it plural. We say Ra'aytu sayyaratin. Sayyaratin. All right, so just put a pin in that there. Going back to the table, which I recommended that you can construct at the back of your notebooks, right? So you have one table with different columns for reasons for the nouns to change to different cases, right? You can also do a next table of signs, different signs of different cases, right? So I want you all to understand that you have 3 cases for nouns, which I just mentioned before, right? Nominative, accusative, genitive. 3 cases. You have different reasons for them to change from one case to the next. Reasons why. Okay, be clear on this, right? Reasons why you change from nominative to accusative or nominative to genitive. All right. And then you have different signs now of it being in that case. So you have the case, you have the reason why something will be in a case, and then you have the sign of it being in that case. All right. And the signs will change, as I just mentioned. In special nouns, you have abu, abi, right? In the normal nouns, you have fatha, dhamma, kasra. So these are the signs, all right? So in this case now, the sound feminine plural, notice we said we're dealing with the sound feminine plural, all right? The sign of it being in the accusative case is the kasra, right? So it's a little different to normal. Normally, the sign of a word being in an accusative case, right, will be the fatha. But for the sound feminine plural, the sign of it being in an accusative case is the kasra, right? The kasra. So let's see here. Ra'aytu sayyaratan. So this is a little exception to the normal order of things or the normal rule of things when it comes to the sign of the different cases. Little exception, right? So ra'aytu means I saw. So I saw sayyaratan, a car. So in this case, the car is the object of the verb of the seeing, all right? And you see something, then that is the object. So therefore, that has to be in the accusative case, all right? So if you say darabtu Zaidan or darabtu Taliban, I hit the student or I hit Zaid, right? Then in that case, the object would be the thing that is being hit, all right? So in this case, ra'aytu sayaratan, I saw a car, right? So the object of the verb, which is the seeing, is the car. So therefore, the word sayara has to be in the accusative case, and in this case, the sign. So the reason it is accusative is why? Because it's the object of the sentence. The sign of it being an accusative case is what now? Is the fatha on the last letter. In this case, tanween fatha. All right. Now, if it's sound feminine plural, it is not fatha. It is what? Kasra. So we have ra'aytu sayyaratin. I saw cars. I saw cars plural. So it's not tanween fatha, but tanween kasra in this case. Let's look at the other example. سألت المديرة الطالبة. So the word سأل means to ask, right? So سألت means she asked, right? She asked. Because there's a sukun on the alif lam coming after it, you read it with a kasra. You see they put in a kasra there for you. So you will say سألت المديرة. سألت المديرة الطالبة. الطالبة. The principal, the female principal, asked the student or the female student. You see here the fatha on the ta marbuta. Why? Because it is the object of the sentence. It is the person that is being asked. So therefore, it is the object, and therefore it is in the accusative case. If it is in the accusative case, the sign of it here being the fatha. All right. Once you make it plural, now look what happens. Sa'alat al-mudiratu at-talibati. At-talibati. The female principal asked the students. The female students. See? At-talibati. Next example. We will finish at the end of this page, inshallah, and then we would continue next week, inshallah. Right? Next example. قرأت المجلة. قرأت المجلة. I read a magazine, or I read the magazine. I read the magazine. Notice again here, the sign of it being an accusative is the fatha on the last letter. Right? So we say قرأت المجلات. I read the magazines. Right, so the last line here in the sentence, in the page, sorry, last line in the page. So what they're actually asking in this exercise is to read the lines with the correct endings of the, especially the sound feminine plural, so that we get practice in exactly what we saw in the examples, right? So this is part of the passage that we read earlier. خلق الله الشمس والقمر والنجوم والبحار والأرض والسماوات. See? So here we have خلق الله, Allah created. What did He create? الشمس is accusative, right? Is the object of the sentence. Is the thing that was created, all right? In this particular sentence. So therefore, it is the accusative case, and the sign of it being accusative is the fatha on the last letter. So خلق الله الشمس. خلق الله الشمس والقمر, fatha on the last letter. والنجوم, fatha on the last letter. والبحار, fatha on the last letter. Why? As accusative. والأرض, fatha on the last letter. والسماوات, kasra, below the last letter. Kasra, below the last letter. Why? Because it is accusative, but the sign of it being accusative is the kasra. Why is the sign in this particular case kasra? Because it is jam muannath salim. It is sound feminine plural. Right? Any questions on that? All right, so we'll stop here today, inshallah. I don't know if you all could remind some of the other brothers and sisters who may not have come out today. I don't know if they remembered. All right, so inshallah, we'll resume next week, 8:15. You'll try and finish around 9:20. All right, if you all have any questions during the week, please, as I said, try to attempt some of the exercises.